Hey Murtaugh, Witness 1, and welcome to the last Mobilethon in March 2021. Now, the subject of today's monologue is fame shame. Otherwise, you could call it guilt by association. Now, a little more than 2 weeks ago, I made a video that included content from a video that was made roughly a year ago by a Canadian interviewing another Canadian that a lot of people know as Agent Margaritaville. Now, the subject of the interview was Agent Margaritaville association with Field McConnell and Field McConnell's association with one Timothy Charles Holmseth. Now, a lot of accusations against Mr. Holmseth was made by Agent Margaritaville. And there was one interesting accusation that came out. Agent Margaritaville accused Timothy Charles Holmseth of embezzlement, of misappropriating $700,000. Now, that isn't what's the most interesting part of all this. The interesting part is that somebody else was also accused. A woman that everybody knows that has been affiliated with Field McConnell for quite some time. Now remember, this video's been up on YouTube for a year. Her name was mentioned on there. As far as I know, no complaint was ever made. Her name remains on the video to this day. So what happens? I get notified that this woman's upset about her being in my video. She's not upset about being accused of embezzling $700,000. Now, apparently, she's upset that a picture of her was used in my version of the video. Now, all YouTube wants me to do is take her picture out. I've appealed YouTube. Told them that, look, this woman's a public figure. She's part of she claims to be part of an international organization, or was part since the organization doesn't exist anymore, that saved children. And I explained to YouTube her claims and the fact that Field McConnell, whom she is closely associated with, boasts about being close friends of the former president of the United States. This makes this woman a public figure. And because she's a public figure, she's already been identified. And that everybody knows who she is. Her picture's out there. I could just as easily go out and get a picture of her on Field McConnell's show and replace it, and that would solve the problem. So, I may do that. I also might make an entirely new video using the same content but with no picture, and put it on a website where it's more difficult to censor the material. I'm not I haven't made up my mind how I'm going to handle this yet. I'm waiting for YouTube to make up its mind. YouTube's a funny thing. See, people have been posting stuff about me for years. They've been using my image without permission. I'm not a public figure. And when you complain to YouTube about it, they don't do anything about it. And I reminded them of that. And I went back and refiled the same complaints and reminded them that they just notified me under this privacy provision. So we'll see how it goes. If anything, I might be able to get some of that content removed. Because the person that put the content up is in jail for distribution of child pornography, so I don't think he's going to be able to appeal. So we'll see how it goes. But this points something out. And then these people are hypocrites. They can go all around the internet accusing me of all sorts of things. Saying all sorts of things. And this woman's done it. I've got archives of the comments that this woman has made. They can say all sorts of things. Tell all kinds of lies. They don't seem to care. But boy, when it's their rocks that's being gored, when they get accused of things, and all of a sudden they don't want people knowing who they are. They're shamed to have their picture associated with the Children's Crusade and with Timothy Charles Homestead. Real funny. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to make another video regardless of the YouTube decision. Do a follow-up. See whether or not I change the video or take it down entirely or remake the whole thing. We'll see. You know, because quite frankly, I don't care all that much because nobody's interested in the truth anymore. You know, actions that are going on right now in this country make it clear that people don't care about the truth. And it's a sad thing, really. It's just the way it is. But I find it curious that all of a sudden, nobody wants anything to do with the Children's Crusade, or they want to distance themselves in some way, saying, I was just there to support Field. I didn't actively participate in it. You know, all kinds of excuses are floating around now about this organization and about Field McConnell. And a lot of it because of Timothy Charles Homestead. Because Field McConnell allowed Homestead into his fold, and it ruined everything he was trying to do. In military terms, you could say that Field McConnell went off mission. He was doing perfectly good with his supporters, helping veterans, rescuing children, eradicating children be rescued. And yes, it was a scam. But it was a scam he was getting away with until he met Timothy Charles Homestead. And then it all fell apart. Field McConnell is now languishing in this compound of a house in the woods up in Wisconsin, mourning the death of his wife. If there's a funeral, he's not going to be able to go to it. He can't leave the country. He's going to have to mourn from afar, all because of Timothy Charles Homestead. And his supporters, those supporters of Field McConnell that remain, need to remember that. That it wasn't the lawyer from Florida that ruined Field McConnell. Wasn't anybody that complains about the scam that he was involved in, the many scams. He had a bunch of them. No. It was an unemployed pizza delivery driver from East Grand Forks, Minnesota, by the name of Timothy Charles Homestead, who barged into this little empire of his, introduced by his handler girlfriend. together they destroyed Field McConnell's empire. It doesn't matter, you know, if Field McConnell tomorrow is acquitted of the charges against him, damage has been done. He'll never recover from it. You know, he's older than I am, and I'm 70 years old. And when you get our age, time becomes increasingly more valuable. You know, the hours go quicker, the days go quicker, the weeks go quicker, the months go quicker. And the next thing you know, we're all pushing daisies. And what's Field McConnell's legacy going to be? Destroyed by Timothy Charles Homestead. And that will be on this woman's legacy as well. Destroyed by Timothy Charles Homestead. Because now she's associated with him. Now she's alleged to be guilty of the same crimes as he was. Of embezzlement. Of nearly $1 million. Now, Ancient Margaritaville said the amount was $700,000. And Timmy's handler from Elk River, Wisconsin, or Minnesota, excuse me, I keep getting the states mixed up, Elk River, Minnesota, says it was $750,000. Didn't deny that the money existed. Didn't deny that there was that there is any embezzlement. She confirmed there was an embezzlement, and she raised the stakes to $750,000. So the witness pool has increased because now we have Ancient Margaritaville, and we have this woman from Minnesota who was also closely associated with both Timothy Charles Homestead and Field McConnell. So there's this increase of evidence here. You know, it would have been a simple matter for Timothy Charles Homestead and his handler to come out and say there was no $750,000 embezzled. There wasn't that kind of money. There wasn't any money. But no, they admitted that there was $750,000 floating around. And then somebody stole it. The question is, who stole it? And what's Field McConnell going to do about it? Because now, it's out there. And I'm sure the news is going to get back to Field McConnell that $750,000 is missing. And he's going to want to know who the hell has the money. Now, this could be one of the explanations for why all of a sudden Timothy Charles Homestead vanished from the internet. Because it was within a couple months of the making of that video, where that accusation was made, that Tim Homestead disappeared. Now, this isn't the reason, by the way, that I think that he disappeared. It could be. But based on information that is continuing to come in, and I am continuing to check on, the reason Timothy Charles Homestead is no longer around and may not even be alive is a situation he got himself into that is much, much worse. Where it is alleged that Timmy got into a situation that is way over his head. That he was forced into a situation because of his doing, and because of this situation, he got embroiled in something that he is unable to deal with. And every day he tries to remedy himself of this particular situation, he is making matters worse. Or his handler is making it worse for him, and for her, incidentally. Now, some of this nonsense that they're putting out there involving the finders and other things is a diversion of sorts. But it's also hitting pretty close to what's going on. And I'm going to get into this next week on Tuesday as to what might be behind these postings by Randy and Timmy, or at least in Timmy's name. Because something interesting is going on. Something that nobody is aware of. And I doubt that when I reveal this information, people are not going to be surprised. Because this is a common thing when people get into these kind of situations. But in this case, it kind of backfired. And so stay tuned for what I hope is the truth. That finally we might be getting some answers as to why things have been going on the way they have for the past year. And why this embezzlement of either $700,000 or $750,000 may not be the only problem facing Timothy Charles Holmseth and some other people. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification icon, and stay tuned. Winter is almost over, and it's starting to get warm. This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Have a good one.